here's Brody Brazil.
You know, here on the channel, I have covered the escalating tension of Pirates baseball in recent months, and that's probably why I got some messages on social media to say, hey, Brody, did you see what happened for Pirates opening day against the Yankees? And yeah, I did. Like fans already with bags on their heads, with "Sell Us Bob" written all over it. This was in the second inning of a Pirates-Yankees game. On opening day, you're supposed to be out there having fun, but again, I'll kind of explain why Pirates fans may be reaching a tipping point. Their feelings for this team that just never gets better. There's not like any effort for this team to get better. Also, financially, they're not apparently in a great spot to the point where if improvements have to be made to PNC Park, they're not in line to do anything or help out with that. So the ballpark may not get any improvements now that it's several decades old. Anyway, I digress. You can understand here that there is a growing tension among Pirates fans towards the ownership to just do better. And in a second, we'll talk about the billboards that kind of went up around the end of 2024. That's maybe where I got attention to this, and that's where I found it all starting. But look at this. Flying over PNC Park during batting practice. I think I've seen this move before, like in Oakland over the last several years. Sell the team, Bob. OurTeamNotHis.com. I suppose you can go there for more information, but they're flying the banner over the stadium on opening day, and this is the real one. Like, this is the real one that is salt in the wound here. So, Paul Skenes, superstar pitcher of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and that's why somebody's got their Paul Skenes jersey right there. Makes a lot of sense. Paul Skenes playing for a small market team in the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he's just emerging, and he's got a handful more years of team control and arbitration years, so the Pirates should not be parting ways with Paul Skenes anytime soon, but a lot of people think that, oh yeah, he'll be a Yankee someday. Yeah, that is right there. I kid you not. I don't know if that's a Pirates fan doing that as a dig to his own team, but that's a Paul Skenes Yankees jersey. Come on. Of all the things you could throw in a wound of Pirates fans, that is the saltiest of things you could throw in there. A Paul Skenes Yankees jersey. And that is the reason that's so hurtful is because you can kind of see that train coming down the tracks. Well, the Pirates don't spend. The Pirates don't care about retaining their talent. Now they've got one. Now they've got a live one. And they're just going to let Paul Skenes go eventually because they don't have the money, and the Yankees inevitably will. Right? So this kind of sums up everything here all in one. And that photo, again, the bags over the heads and the banner in the sky, okay, that's what you would come to expect. But this right here is it's either some next level trolling or some next level honesty. I don't know the allegiance of that baseball fan who's got the Skenes Yankee jersey. So when they had introductions, there were a lot of front office members and the owner, Bob Nutting, who were booed by fans already. There were "Sell the Team" chants. There was an encounter that he had walking up the rotunda. I've chosen not to include it here because it seemed a little confrontational. I don't promote that type of escalating tensions, maybe in person, and I just worry about some things that could happen. So Bob Nutting had these comments. He did a television interview, but again, people were quick to voice their opinion in chants and in boos, and "Sell the Team" popped out on opening day. But here's what he said, quote, "I understand their anger. I understand their concerns and understand they want the team to win. I do too. I have led organizations and I have filtered out and focused on the most important tasks, and that's exactly what we need to do here in Pittsburgh. We need to focus on winning," end quote. Two parts about that. Number one, last year, I believe they were 10 games below 500, so like they weren't terrible, but they just have a problem ever being a winning team, even a 500 team in Pittsburgh. I'll show you the stats in just a second. Like they can't even be a 500 team, hardly ever, let alone a couple games over 500. But this quote is just so vague and generic. And I do appreciate the part where he's trying to relate to fans and say, I want the same thing as you do too. But to go back and say, well, we just need to filter out what we hear and don't hear. No, I think you just need to do it. You don't need to focus on anything. You just need to do it. You need to find the right ways, try the right ways. Like trying to win, right, is the first step to winning. And if you're not showing that you're trying to win, how are you ever going to win? It's not magically just going to fall into your lap, especially at this level of Major League Baseball. You need to show things you're doing that are trying to win. And eventually some of them, enough of them will work out and you will start winning. It's not focusing, it's actually trying and doing, not talking about it. In terms of the baseball struggles of the Pirates, they made the playoffs 3 times since the 92 season. And it was 3 years in a row, 13, 14, 15. Like 3 times since 92. We're talking like the end of the Barry Bonds days. 3 times since then. That's it. They never got past the NLDS. They've had 1 winning record season across the last 10 years. Just 1. Just a winning regular season. They've only had 4 winning records in the last 32 years. So if you think this hits, right, 1 time in the last decade, all right, they've only had 4 winning seasons in the last 32 years. Let that sink in. Like, that is a long history of losing, and I know Bob Nutting has not been around that entire time, but it paints a picture. There's also this, like, lack of winning and lack of spending go a little bit hand in hand. I've always said that you can win without spending, but you can't sustain winning without spending. And so the estimated payroll this year, $88.2 million as of right now. Their payroll last year, $87 million. So they're not increasing it, even though they want to get better. And they didn't really do much in terms of free agency over the winter, like the Royals a couple years ago. They went out, they spent the right way. They went from one of the worst records in baseball, I think a 100-loss season, to flirting with the playoffs a year or 2 later and signing Bobby Witt Jr., the franchise cornerstone, to a long-term big deal. Do that for Paul Skenes right now. Do it at some point this year. That's the kind of message you need to send. That'll put people back in their chairs like, wait a second, they did it? They kept one of our guys? So the payroll, as you can see, has gone up a little bit, 15, 16, 17, then back down. Obviously, we won't count 2020. And now it is going back up, but it does seem like it's just kind of leveling out to where it's always been. You have to start winning, I think, first a little bit to get the right players, but then you also need to keep your players. So winning and spending are a bit related. In terms of revenue sharing, since 2007, the Pirates have been bottom 5 opening day payrolls every single year since 2007, including this year, all but 3 years. Bottom 5 opening day payroll across baseball every year but 3 seasons since 2007. They've never been higher than 20th in Major League Baseball payroll spending in modern years, right? So they're never even close to the median or the midway point. They're always in that bottom third. And in 2018, the Players Association filed a grievance against the Pirates, also the Marlins and the Rays and the Oakland A's, for not spending their sharing money as intended. Like, you're getting this revenue sharing money from the other teams who are spending and they're taxed on it. We're giving it to you and you're not even spending it. What are you doing with it? Are you pocketing that? There's also the issue of ballpark upgrades. Like I said before, the Pirates aren't making a lot of money apparently on this, and their lease is a pretty good one, $500,000 a year, and that lease goes up to 2030 at PNC Park, a stadium which, by the way, was built 80% with public funding. So the Pirates only chipped in $40 million to the stadium from the very start. And now they're still on a sweetheart deal with the lease, $500,000 a year. Trust me, that is low across the board, especially for a relatively new facility like PNC Park. But the Stadium Authority in Pittsburgh, it's not funded for upgrades. So public's not going to pay for upgrades. Team doesn't have the money, apparently, to pay for upgrades. That's why they wanted to change the video boards out. They wanted to put in better video boards. So they started adding a $1 surcharge to tickets to find a way to fund new video boards. I mean, I guess you can agree with that a little bit, but there should be some way that the team can have involvement in doing the upgrades that they want and need to do, and not pass that along to the public, whether it's buying tickets or public subsidies from a stadium authority. And as I mentioned before, these billboards went up over the winter. This was mid-November. A group raised more than $19,000 on GoFundMe. This group calling for the owner, Bob Nutting, to sell the team. KDKA Television in Pittsburgh captured some of these billboards that popped up around town. So you can see the initiative. You can see where this is going. The awareness is out there. The temperature is increasing rapidly. That's where I'll begin here with my takeaways. Like, fans are onto this. Opening day usually could be a day where we just put everything aside. We just enjoy baseball. Oh no. Pirates fans this year chose to make opening day a bit of a statement. And it does feel like, however they felt at the end of last year, that only brewed and multiplied and compounded, because now here they are opening day 2025 and they're even more frustrated. I do think the Paul Skenes situation is going to make the team's intentions quite clear. Like, there's only two things that are going to happen here. You're going to keep him for the long term, or in the next handful of years, he will no longer be a Pirate. So there is kind of a lightning rod situation with Paul Skenes, and you can look to him as for which way the wind is blowing and what this team is actually going to do. So the Pirates fans probably are nervous about that, and the Pirates as a team are realizing if it's up to paying him or not, now we're going to be judged solely on what we do here with this one player. But as I said before, winning can happen, and that's great, and that might make a lot of people feel better. All right, they're going in the right direction, but do they sustain winning? But even more than that, show some trying. Like, do some things that excite people, that motivate people, that are at least an attempt. If the Pirates had long tried this and that, and they were making big splashes in free agency, and they were keeping some of their star players, you could look at them and say, well, they've just run into some bad luck. They're trying. There's a lot of sports teams like that go through waves, and they go through a rough patch for a year or a decade or whatever, but they're trying, and you can see it. If the team is losing and there's no trying, that's the frustration factor here. And obviously in Pittsburgh, you're surrounded by the Steelers, and you're surrounded by, I know the Penguins aren't doing well right now. It's an iconic sports city. Trust me, I've been there many times. Love it there. Fantastic sports market. But the Buccos need to keep pace. You can't be pedestrian in this great sports town and expect that nobody's going to notice. So that's the problem here. Beautiful stadium. Tremendous baseball history. Bad baseball in the present. And the fans are pretty fed up with it. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Thumbs up because you made it here to the end of this video. That'll greatly help me, this video, and this channel with a thumbs up down below. Also, go down there and make sure that you hit that subscribe button. That way I can definitely see you back here on the channel next time.